Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. I'm going to show you how I recreated this My Bloody Valentine's look. And so now we're going to go ahead and get started with two different layers of concealer. Right now I'm putting on the first layer and blending that out with the Beauty Blender. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a second layer. This one's more of a lighter shade, and this is going to help with that pop of color as well as at blending a little bit more of the eyeshadows in. And now I'm going to go ahead and take some setting powder and to set all of that together. And right now I'm going to use the red shade from the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. And this is in the shade Living My Best. And right now I'm just putting that into the inner corner of the eye as well as the outer portion of my eye, really packing it in. And I'm using a small packing brush to really set in this color. Now I'm going ahead and using a smaller detailed brush to feather out the outer portions of the eyeshadow so it won't look so harsh. And using the same brush, I'm using the shade Crazy, which is more of a darker, deeper red, and adding in that depth of color into the inner and outer portions of the eye. Right here, I'm adding a little bit of pink shimmer. This is from a separate Morphe palette. I actually forgot the name of the palette and the shade because it doesn't give me the shade name, but this is a very nice pink shimmer. I'm just packing it in. I'm using more of a detailed concealer brush, and this is the end result of the eyeshadow so far. Now to add more of a deeper contrast to the look, I added black from the same Jaclyn Hill palette in the shade Temperance. And I'm going ahead and packing it on both sides of my eye, adding more of a deeper shadow. Now I'm going to go ahead and use a fluffy brush, and I'm using that to blend more of that outer portion of the eyeshadow that we placed to create less of a harsher line. And I wanted to add a very small amount of like smokiness to it. And right now I'm just adding the same shades at the bottom of the eye. And this is what we have so far together. And now it's time to add more detailing to the FX look. So now I'm going in with this Maybelline Sky High in the shade Burgundy. And I am just putting that right on the lower portion of my eye. And then I actually use my fingers to blend it out to create more of like that crying effect. And I'm also using another mascara. This is the Benefit They're Real mascara. This is one of my favorite mascaras, by the way. I use this all the time. And I'm also putting that in to kind of create more of a depth into the shadow to make it more like I've been crying. And then to top it all off, I used the NYX Butter Gloss just to give it more realism. And I added that only on the bottom portion. And then I lined it all together with some eyeliner. And then for a pop of color into my look, I used some red eyeshadow from the same Jaclyn Hill palette, and I just kind of put it all over my face. And believe it or not, a little bit of a funny story. Every time I use eyeshadow, I might actually get like teary-eyed. So this kind of enhances the look a lot more. And so this is what I came up with. You can leave it here, but I'm going to take it a step further if you continue watching, and I'm going to add some kiss marks to my face to give it more of that Valentine's Day look. Now, this is actually my first time doing this. I saw a lot of people do this with their Valentine's look. And the funniest thing about this, I did try this a couple of times, and a lot of the lipsticks that I use are color stay lipsticks. So it gives more of that grunge gritty effect, but I kind of kept it in because it was really nice. So I had to add a couple of layers of lipstick to kind of top over the ones that showed less, if you see, but I kind of kept it in because it looked kind of cool and grungy. And yeah, this is just a little fun Valentine's look. So from here, you can leave it as this grungy anti-Valentine's look, or if you want to take it another step further, keep watching. And I'm actually going to add the FX makeup right now to add more of like the My Bloody Valentine anti-grunge look. And right now I'm carving out just the shape of a heart. It does not look perfect, and this is my first time doing this in a long time, so I'm just adding some blood gel, and it was actually extremely watery, so it took me a minute to kind of map out like where I want it. And now I'm using some scab gel. This is something I had to use frequently because it just was not working in my favor. So I went back and forth between the scab gel and back and forth into the blood gel. And then this is what we came up with so far. And then using more of a detailed eyeliner brush, I actually used some black eyeshadow for more of a deeper look into the cut of the heart. And then I went back in with the scab gel and did the same thing around the entire thing, and then put a little bit more where it looked deeper and just kind of built it up from there. And this is what we have. And this is basically the look. And to add more of a deeper look on that scab gel, I actually used some zombie blood. To me, it's like one of my go-to bloods. It's like basically the darkest color, and I put more depth into the cut of the look and add a little bit more detailing at the bottom. And yeah, I played around with it a little bit just to give it a little bit more realism, and this is by far my favorite look, and this is what we have so far. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more looks coming up this year.